start with your first question, if I can. Why did you start using a stager, and how long have you been using one?
I began staging back in 2007. I was way ahead of the curve. I have been in real estate for over 30 years, hailing from New Jersey, and I had a very high-end property in Weston Hills, which is the same neighborhood as this property that I have right now, and I couldn't sell it. And I decided to take a chance. At the time, there's a girl that I used who's still in the business, who's doing really well down in Fort Lauderdale. I brought her in, and she literally transformed this house with a little bit of paint. And at the time, the furniture was okay, but it was better than nothing. And her creativity and her design of the property allowed me to show the spaces where the families could put their children, their tables, their couches. And before I knew it, the house was sold. And they were amazed. I was the third agent in, and I was able to sell the house.
Wow. Amazing. Can I ask the same question to you, Tim?
I haven't been doing staging long. I've been in the business for about 20 years. I started staging about 2 years ago. I was in a few houses where I saw staging at work, and the success that the agents have had with these listings. And I met Carol Clark, and we started working together. And the last 8 or 9 houses that I've listed, I had Carol come in, and I used her services. It was very interesting. A lot of the owners would be not offended, but surprised by what Carol had suggested. And we went ahead and moved forward with this. And each and every house that I've had listed with Carol sold in less than a month. So between 5 to 7 days. Some of them took about 30 days. But these are listings that typically would take 3 to 6 months to sell. So they were selling very, very quickly.
Days on market matter, right?
Right.
Can I ask you, what did the stager say, or could a stager say to you to sway a realtor who may be sitting on the fence about using a stager?
Well, I would say that the stager could say to me or someone considering using a stager that talk to the people that I've worked with, go look at my work, and the testimony that people would give to others to try and possibly use their services would work for itself.
So if I came to you and I said, you should go and speak with Rose, because
Right.
Rose, I did my last staging with Rose.
Right.
That's the kind of information
Yes,
that
I
you
would.
want to
I would
hear.
say have a conversation with Rose, and Rose will let you know how successful the staging is. Absolutely.
And the success rates is unbelievable.
It is
How
phenomenal.
quickly, if they actually listen to what we tell them to do. I know there's always a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
How dare you? I can't take down my curtains.
Yes.
Nobody likes your curtains. Nobody wants Fido in the house. People, they walk in a door, they smell, they use their eyeballs, they listen, they touch.
Right.
It's all about the ambiance of the
Yes.
space, the colors, the light.
So as a new stager to the area, and we're always trying to find realtors to connect with, how best can I come to? Do I come to your office? Do I meet with you? Do I bring you cookies? Should I try to get in one of your sales meetings? What is the best way for me as a new stager to approach a realtor to at least be heard? Because sometimes cold calling can be tricky.
Well, you could try, obviously, going to the real estate brokers to see if you can get an appointment to meet with the agents. I mean, my office is quite large. I think personal touch is probably a little bit better. Kind of eyeball, look at the listings on the MLS, see if you could help. Offer some suggestions, maybe provide some before and after photos for these realtors. I believe in it. I use it almost every listing that I take. Very pushy, because I have the results that prove it's going to sell quicker and for more money, which saves them time, energy, money, stress, really.
Yes.
It's just prepping the house. That's hard.
Yeah.
They don't like that, but
Yes,
you can do it.
It is staging / therapy, or
Correct.
selling houses / therapy. Are staging statistics important to you? As if I'm coming in as a new stager, are staging statistics helpful? You know, my last 3 stagings I did, they sold in 4 days, or they went under contract in 24 hours, and things like that important to you?
I would say that those are important statistics, along with everything else that you do. You know, you can say, okay, you can take a look at what kind of results you're getting with staging and without staging, and it is important. It just shows what kind of tools work,
Right.
and staging being one of those tools does work. So yes, it would be very important as a stat. And then when you go on listing appointments, you know, to bring those numbers with you is paramount.
Yeah.
So very
That kind of brings us to another question. What information would help you sell staging to your sellers? In other words, how can we help you sell staging? Do we need to give you flyers, brochures? What tools do you need to sell staging as part of your listing package?
I think the, like a portfolio or something going forward, showing people before and afters the results of the work that's done. That would be very important.
Excellent.
Well, what I really love that Jill Gold does is she puts all of her before and afters on social media. She's on House, she's on Facebook, she's tagging me, she's pushing me, she's helping me get more business. I'm helping her get more business.
So it's definitely a two-way street.
100% love the social media, and the video is most important. I mean, if you don't have much to work with, just start documenting everything.
Right.
It really makes a big difference. I bring in every, you know, if they challenge me, I'm like, well, let's look at this, and how about that? And this one sold in 7 days for full price. When it sat on the market for 6 months with another agent, I took the same price. All I did was paint and stage it, and it wasn't the price. It's the presentation that matters.
Yes.
Yeah, let me touch on that too. I was working with Carol Clark, and we have another project coming up where we're gonna use Jill. And first thing I did was went and looked at Jill's work via social media, and I was very impressed with it.
And look at this.
And look at this house.
Wow.
Yes, I haven't even walked around
It's
the house,
amazing.
but
And it's
I
gonna
was
sell this
impressed when you
week.
walk in the door. So we're excited about that.
Can I ask, what is the biggest obstacle when you're trying to sell staging to the sellers? What is your biggest obstacle?
Pricing. It's pricing. People have to digest the pricing and what the costs are.
The
but
investment.
The investment. So it is an investment, and you know, it's hard for some people to realize that investment's going to pay dividends for them at the end at their goal when they close on their house.
Yeah.
And it does, but for a number of people, it's the initial investment. That's what I would say.
I find it to be the confrontation with the client.
Ah,
Okay, it's
yeah.
like a personality thing. It's like I turn into a therapist. They think I'm not personally attacking their decor or their lack of decor or their 22-year-old shades and drapes, and they get insulted.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't do it. I bring in my stager who goes through the house, and we say, this is through the eyes of the buyer. This is what more buyers like in today's market. The demographics have changed a lot.
We're like the secret shopper, right?
Yes,
The
and if you
secret
listen to them, it's not me.
Yeah.
But again, I definitely agree, and I could go walk through and rip a house apart, but I'm not going to do that. That's why I pay my stager, because I need to stay their friend.
Absolutely.
They have to like
well,
me
there
and
has
trust
to be
me.
a good cop and a bad cop.
Correct.
And that's what we get paid
And you have to feel them
do.
out, and
Yeah.
you have to, some people you can push, and others you cannot remove. Parts of their decor have to stay, like for instance in this house, we could not take down the light fixtures that do not match, and everybody that walks in says something about them, and he didn't want it. I got him to paint the back down here at color. That was a push, but it looks amazing, and that's the only thing I couldn't get down. But it's okay.
Well,
you work with it.
There are battles, right?
Yeah,
have
you
to-
pick your battles like
Yeah.
with your children.
It's the first thing I saw when I walked in.
And if he's watching, which he will probably later, I'm going to tell you.
I just have to say, Matthew, please, I asked you so many times. This is the reason, because this is all we're talking about is those lights. So now I found out that when they're showings, they're talking about those lights. Yes, they do know they can remove them, but if they weren't here, they'd be looking at the house.
Right.
So they point
Okay,
out.
so
But she's
can we take
selling
it
it.
down now?
I have my screwdriver.
Okay.
Always prepared. Right? We're always
Get it, Jill.
So let me ask you this. I have one more question on this list here. What is your perspective? I think you've really answered it, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. What is your perspective on stages and how we impact your business? Because we are certainly a team.
Can I start?
Please, please.
Absolutely.
Best thing that ever happened to real estate were home stagers.
Woohoo! Please have it.
And I sell a lot of homes, and let me tell you something, they make it much easier for me to sell a home. My photography is so much better. My clients are happier once I get them to understand that the investment is worth it. Because buyers look online first, they're on the internet. First thing they're looking at is the photography, and then we need the phone to ring. So coupled with presentation, pricing, of course location. I just want the phone to ring, I'm gonna get them in the door, and then I'm gonna sell the space. The lifestyle is what we sell.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have to have those fantastic photographs to put
Imperative
on-
in today's
on-
market. The
on the MLS,
demographics
yeah.
are big on internet and
Well,
photography.
the
and video.
millennials are all looking at HGTV. They all want turnkey kind of properties. They don't want to be coming in and having to paint that.
This is
canary yellow
HGTV
wall.
right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
This is what we're doing, and
There-
this is what sells.
Right. And there's everything starts online these days. You're right. And when people look at properties and they look at the listings, a lot of times they'll go into a house and say, "This doesn't look like the pictures." But when the house is professionally staged, people will go in and say, "This looks better than the impressive pictures." So that speaks volumes about staging. Staging is very, very, very.
Can I ask a question relating to that? Most of there's a trade out there that it's called virtual staging. So how do you feel about that? Because that's related to what you're speaking about when you walk into the property,
Right.
and then you have this virtual pictures, and then it's for us it's a total deception. As a consumer, I will feel cheated
Right.
when I walk into. So what's your take on this?
So with the virtual staging for me, and I've used it, I use a company called VHT Photography. VHT offers a virtual staging. A lot of houses, you can tell that it's virtually staged. Some of the work they do is excellent. And I would say that's more toward the investor side of properties, where investors will go in there and they want to have it look impressive, and they don't want to spend the money because their margins might be small, so they might spend an extra several $100s to do the virtual staging. On a house like this, I would say absolutely not.
Okay.
No, and I've done it as well. I don't particularly like it. It looks very fake to me, and when they get to the house, they're very disappointed.
Right.
Yes.
But again, price point wise, I have to offer options to my clientele, and I have done it on a property. I'm having a lot of problems with it, and I told them, but their budget was a lot less, and you get what you pay for in life.
Exactly.
Always.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
There is another question. As you know, because you use staging a lot, staging is not only for vacant properties, correct? Do you use staging for your occupied listings?
All of them are. Every one of them. Every one of them. The ones that I've been doing with Carol, every one of them were occupied and furnished. We just did one recently where it was occupied and full of furniture with an agent for about 4 months. They fired that agent, and we wound up putting half of their furniture in the garage.
Or in a pod.
And, they wound up in the garage, and the house sold in 8 days.
Rose, how did you connect with the very first stager? Did they find you, or did you look for them?
I could answer that.
Yeah.
We met, one of her clients hired me for, I think the stager was busy, and she wanted,
Oh,
she was
right.
shopping
I
around,
remember
so
now. Yes.
I staged the house, and I called you and I asked, can we take the window treatments down? Would you be upset if we took the purple and the green?
So happy.
And the orange, it looked like a circus.
And you worked with that
So
horrible
she loved
color.
the idea, and
Yeah.
it was painted a very bad color, but they were, the budget was very, very little. So we made the magic happen, and the house that was for sale a long time did sell pretty quick. So
did.
she's called me for many of that type of property.
She saved me.
Every type
I
of
sold
property.
a vacant home with no pool and no water, very hard to sell, with the ugliest walls I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And she was able to pull the colors together, even in this property, with the colors she had to work with. I walked in, I'm like, wow, you are really good. With the movement, just picking different artwork, like it's not easy to do. I don't think I could do it, but when I walked in, I was like amazed that you could coordinate with those light fixtures. That was tough, but she pulled it
There's
off.
other stories, and I'll share it after this on Facebook. The light fixtures we're talking about. There was
We've had
surveys,
several.
there's polls, there's discussions.
Yeah, we
Yes.
know a lot.
When I was bringing the staging in and when it was empty, and I was saying, what am I going to do here? But I know I'll do it.
She pulled it off.
So I listed a house in Parkland, and what I like to do is go out and see what the competition is close by. So
I have a question. Do you feel or do you foresee in the future that staging should be an essential part of a real estate transaction?
100%.
Pretty much as, a title company, a lawyer. So what are your thoughts about that? Or how do you see that our staging, our industry kind of being part of 100%, standard in your process?
Well, if I could speak from my own experience, for my business, it is 100% necessary. Every home needs it. I support it wholeheartedly. I always advise every person, regardless of their budget, there's something that we can do.
Right.
I offer it to them, but in the end, yes, I think you guys should be, we should work into the commission there somehow. I don't know.
I agree. I think that 100% staging should be involved in every transaction.
And what would you tell to those realtors, to your colleagues that are not using staging today? What would your advice be to them?
Well, I would tell them, look at your listings over the past year or two and your average days on market. Look at those listings, see what and see what you could have done better. And if you hadn't staged them, maybe consider that. Work into the staging portion of your listings going forward, and then just do a comparison of how it's worked in the past, how it has not worked for you in the past, and how staging works going forward. And the story will tell itself.
You'll never know until you try. Okay,
Right.
and it's funny, here in Weston, a lot of people walk into my listings and they always know it's the Sklar listings because of the way it shows. They're like, oh, that's a Sklar listing. Because I'm the one that's pushing. And if you look at my results, I got really good results. So it works. And a lot of people follow the leader. The leader says staging is important, which it is, by the way. Staging is very important. And hire all these great people out here, you realtors, if you want to sell your properties quicker and for top dollar. It's worth the effort of working with your client. They're not going to like it, but go for it.
I have a question.
All right.
Do you feel or do you foresee in the future that staging should be an essential part of a real estate transaction?
100%.
Pretty much as, a title company, a lawyer. So what are your thoughts about that? Or how do you see that our staging, our industry kind of being part of 100%, standard in your process?
Well, if I could speak from my own experience, for my business, it is 100% necessary. Every home needs it. I support it wholeheartedly. I always advise every person, regardless of their budget, there's something that we can do.
Right.
I offer it to them, but in the end, yes, I think you guys should be, we should work into the commission there somehow. I don't know.
I agree. I think that 100% staging should be involved in every transaction.
And what would you tell to those realtors, to your colleagues that are not using staging today? What would your advice be to them?
Well, I would tell them, look at your listings over the past year or two and your average days on market. Look at those listings, see what and see what you could have done better. And if you hadn't staged them, maybe consider that. Work into the staging portion of your listings going forward, and then just do a comparison of how it's worked in the past, how it has not worked for you in the past, and how staging works going forward. And the story will tell itself.
You'll never know until you try. Okay,
Right.
and it's funny, here in Weston, a lot of people walk into my listings and they always know it's the Sklar listings because of the way it shows. They're like, oh, that's a Sklar listing. Because I'm the one that's pushing. And if you look at my results, I got really good results. So it works. And a lot of people follow the leader. the leader says staging is important, which it is, by the way, staging is very important, and hire all these great people out here, you realtors, if you want to sell your properties quicker and for top dollar. It's worth the effort of working with your client. You know, they're not going to like it, but go for it.